Rockin' metal invasion. Rockin' metal invasion. Rockin' metal invasion. Rockin' metal invasion.
Hi, welcome to Rockin' Metal Invasion. My name is Steve. Coming up on the show today, I am doing Swedish hard rock and heavy metal. I'm going to look at some bands and some albums I've got in my collection that come from Sweden. And in order to do this, I'm going to use the Encyclopedia of Swedish hard rock and heavy metal, 1970 to 1996, to help me do this, written by Janne Stark. He's actually put out 2 books. So this is the first one, and then there's also the Encyclopedia of Swedish hard rock and heavy metal, Volume 2. Believe it or not, there's two volumes, and they're both really quite thick books, quite thick. Volume 2, though, is really, I guess, a revision. So it does repeat some of the bands from this first book, but also updates it with some new ones. I think the second one came out around 2004, something like that. So, and this one ends around 1996, as it says. So it's more sort of updating. But yeah, both great books. I'm just going to focus on this first one and focusing on the bands that I have in my collection. And it is a lot of 80s hard rock, heavy metal, a lot of hair metal, to be honest with you, what we might now call hair metal, a lot of AOR, even perhaps melodic rock, a lot of obscure stuff that I've never shown on my channel. And I was quite surprised as I went through the book and I was like coming across bands that I have in my collection, how much Swedish hard rock and heavy metal I actually do have. So let's get into it. So obviously there's a lot of bands in this book, but I'm only going to talk about the bands that I've got albums in my collection for, and vinyl records, and there's a few CDs as well, but not many CDs. It's pretty much just records, vinyl records. So it's going to be a lot of 80s. So first up, the band that I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to do it in alphabetical order, is Alien. So this is their debut album, although it's an album that got reissued in America with some changes. So initially when it was released, I guess in Europe, it was, well, they had the vocalist for the first album was a guy called Jim Jidhead, and he sang on the entire album. But for this, the US reissue that's also been remixed, I think it's about 4 songs get removed and 2 extra songs get added, and those 2 extra songs actually feature the new vocalist. So they've got Pete Sandberg on vocals for 2 of the songs, which is a bit of an unusual situation, isn't it? So basically the new band member gets to do 2 songs on it, the rest from the old band member. But it released on Virgin. Tony Borg, he's the main sort of guy. I think he formed the band. And here's the hype sticker: Tears Don't Put Out the Fire, Go Easy, I've Been Waiting. But actually I think the hit was a cover of the old Marble song, Only One Woman, which was written by the guys from the Bee Gees. But I think that was a bit of a hit, or maybe that was the hit song they had in Europe. But I don't remember it being a hit where I'm from. But anyway, they got them a lot of attention, and they put out a second album. Now when the second album comes out, of course, Pete's the vocalist for everything on that album. Interesting, so this is the album Shifting Gear. Here it is, the second album. Interesting that only 2 of the guys are actually featured on the back cover. So you've got Tony and Pete there, but that's it. And same with the inner sleeve as well. There's only pictures of those 2 guys. So there's Pete and there's Tony. And it does say Tony plays all guitars and bass. So I guess maybe officially they're the only 2 guys in the band. Obviously they're bringing other musicians in, but yeah, and it's called Shifting Gear. That's their second album. Although it's called Shifting Gear, they don't really change the sound very much. Really good melodic hard rock. Like I said, the songs on the hype sticker here, one of them, Tears Don't Put Out the Fire, and actually even Go Easy, they're really good songs. They're 2 of my favorites from the first album. A couple of good songs on this one. I probably prefer the first album, but yeah, and they're the only 2 Alien albums that I have. Right, next one, a bit of an obscure one. This is a band called Axia, and this is their one and only album, so one and done, and it's just self-titled. It's not on a major label or anything like that, but Yeah, Pop Production is the label. Here's the band. 1988, this came out. Very much sort of, hard rock, verging on sort of hair metal. Yeah, it's good though. Really good production. Sounds really good. Good musicianship here. But to be honest, I don't know a heck of a lot about this. I guess it's one and done. I do know, obviously, from reading the book that I've got here, the Encyclopedia of Swedish Hard Rock and Heavy Metal, that they did stick around for a while, and I think they got another singer in for a bit, but recorded a demo album that never got released, and I think some of the members did go on and do sort of some pop rocks kind of stuff, but as far as this band's concerned, this is a one and done. But in saying that, worth checking out. It does sound really good. Right, next one, a band I'm a little bit more familiar with. And the band is called Bad Habit, and the album is After Hours. So here they are here, very much a hair metal look. And again, like Alien, they came out on Virgin Records. Living on the Edge, that's a good song. Opens up the album. More Than a Feeling, which is a cover of the Boston song. That's the final track on the album. And I also have a 7-inch single, which is the Boston song, More Than a Feeling. And the reason I got this is because the B-side is Dancing, which is not on the vinyl version of the album. And it's a good song. They've got some good songs, but what's interesting about the band is they actually do carry on. And they carried on for quite some time. And while this is the only physical product from them that I have, I do have some songs from their other albums, digital files, and they're really good. Very, very much, you'd put them in the Bon Jovi category perhaps, but when sort of even when they went into the 90s and 2000s, they kind of were sort of doing what you might have thought Bon Jovi might have kept doing if he sort of had retained that sort of hard rock sound. So they're really worth checking out, and also their image, which is very glam here. I think on one of their album covers they look like a boy band. They've all the hairs all cut, but the sound is not like that. They're not super heavy obviously, but it's good hard rock. And like I said, they've got a number of albums, and some of them are really good. Some better than others, but worth checking out. So, check these guys out, Bad Habit. Right, next band I actually don't know too much about. And actually, this is one of the few that I've only got a CD copy of. But it's the band, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but By Bang, B-A-I, By Bang. And this is a CD from their 1995 release. So you can have a look at the guys there. Even for 1995, they've still got sort of, a bit of a hair metal look. But there's some good hard rock on here. Another one of their albums, Cop to Con, I wouldn't mind getting. It's on vinyl, but it's really expensive, not easy to get. It's not great, but I digital. I've got some digital files. There's a few songs on there that aren't too bad. Initially, they actually did start off singing in their, in Swedish, and were more of a pop rock band. But they changed their sound as they sort of went on. So can't show too much, but I do have the CD. But I know that Copticon you can get on vinyl. It might actually only be a Hong Kong pressing. I'm not sure. I think I've seen it as a Hong Kong pressing on Discogs, but again, not cheap. But I wouldn't say it's essential, but interesting because it's 1995, so this kind of sounds probably not very popular, even maybe in Sweden at this time. But they've still got the look and the sound on this album, and it's pretty good. So it's 1995, but the only album I've got from them, and I'm not really too sure what they did after this. Maybe they carried on for a little bit, but I'm really not too sure. With this book, of course, it ends at 1996, so this is pretty much the last entry it has in the book. The next one is a female-fronted band, and it's Crystal Pride. And this is the 12-inch single, actually, for Knocked Out. But they also had the album, and this is a one-and-done band. Self-titled, I think it is. Crystal Pride came out in 1984. I've actually talked about this band before when I've done a show on lesser-known female-fronted bands. The singer is Suzanne Christensen, and that's her there. Really good, mid-80s metal, melodic metal. And what's interesting actually too is that when the book came out, it says in the book that the band is still together, and they've been I guess demoing songs, still active as a band. In fact, the book itself comes with a really great CD. of lots of rare tracks, and one of the rare tracks is a Crystal Pride song called "Find the Way," which I think a fairly, this is in 1996. This CD comes out, but fairly newish recording, I think, as well. So my understanding is they haven't gone on to put out any more albums, but so it's just a one and done. But really good stuff. And yeah, I've talked about this band before. Really good. And the 12-inch single is worth getting too, because the song, the B-side, Venus and Magic Man are not on the album. So yeah, good stuff. Crystal Pride, check it out. All right, next band is a band I have talked about before, but not that much. And the band is Dalton. And the race is on. This is their debut album. When I've talked about this band, I talked about the fact that they've actually got a track on this album that is written by Richie Sambora, John Bon Jovi, and Desmond Child. And it's a song that never made a Bon Jovi album, and it's called "You're Not My Lover, But You Were Last Night." And you can also hear that song on the Witness album. And interestingly enough, on this album, it is credited to Desmond Child, John Bon Jovi, and Richie Sambora. On the Witness album, they're using pseudonyms. So it's like King of Swing, Captain Kidd, and You Know Who, or something like that is the synonym that they've used. But pseudonym, so not synonym, pseudonym. But yeah, here's the band. There they all are. Now, the guy, Dalton Dahlberg, he's the drummer. He actually used to be in the Swedish band Treat. Yes, they are coming up. They will be coming up soon. But yeah, so he leaves Treat and forms this band, Dalton. Yeah, there's some okay songs on here. Caroline, which opens up the album, is a really good song. Check that one out. And there's another album after this, Ignition, I think it's called. Yeah, Injection. Injection. Just looking at the book, which I don't have. You can get it on vinyl, but like I say, I'm not a massive fan of these guys. I've checked out Injection. In fact, I think I did even have it on CD back in the day. But yeah, it's okay. Not easy to get, so not cheap to get. And I guess I just haven't. If I could pick it up at a reasonable price, I might do it, because it is exactly like what it looks like. It's that kind of a sound. In fact, like I said, the guy comes from Treat. If you like Treat, they've got a song by, the guys from Bon Jovi. Yeah, it's that sort of sound, But yeah, so check them out if you haven't heard them before. This is Dalton. And yeah, I've got their first album, but they may even have other ones, but at least in this book, and from my knowledge as well, they've only got the 2 albums. Next one's a really obscure one. The band is Deep Diver. So I think I have actually shown this on my channel before. This is just a 4-track EP. Maybe when I was doing a show on EPs, I can't remember. It's only got 4 songs on it, but they're really good songs, really good hard rock. I'm not actually sure when this comes out. 1984, it says in the book. So yeah, 1984. And there's no picture of the band or anything, but yeah, really good. Really, as soon as I heard this, because I picked it up, fairly recently. I haven't had this since back in the day or anything. It's a fairly recent pickup, because I heard it online and thought, I've got to get this. It's really good. But yeah, no album, just this one 4-track EP. Now, it actually says in the book that they did record a full-length album, but unfortunately the record company that they were with went bust, and so it's, yeah, unreleased, and to my knowledge is still unreleased. But yeah, if you can, check this out. There's Deep Diver, good hard rock, mid-80s hard rock, well worth checking out. All right, next one is the EF Band and Deep Cut. So this is actually their second album, and you might have actually thought EF Band was a new wave of British heavy metal band, because they do actually feature on the Metal for Mothers compilation. So yeah, there they are. They're EF Band fighting for rock and roll, but they're not a British band. They're a Swedish band. I guess might have been because at least it says in the book that one of the reasons that maybe they got on that compilation was that they were actually probably better known in the UK, and also the drummer was the drummer, I think, from Angel Witch. So there was some connection there. But no, they're a Swedish band. Like I said, the one I've only got the one album, their second album, but there's 3 albums, I think. And yeah, but they're a Swedish band, and they're called EF because the bass player is Per Eriksson, so that's where the E comes from, and then the guitarist is B. Fisher. Yeah, that's where the F comes from. They may have had the different vocalists and drummers. I'm not too sure. But I know I've heard Martin Popoff talk quite favorably about this band. And yeah, they're not bad. I mean, like I say, I've only got the one album. I've heard some of their other tracks. I even had a CD. I think I've got this had it, or at least had a CD of their third album. But this album has a track that's written by Russ Ballard, and it's probably the best song on the album, called "Love Is a Game." That's really good. But yeah, worth checking out anyway. EF Band, Deep Cut, and like I said, they've got 3 albums. All right, now next band's kind of new to me, at least as far as having them in my collection, and also really giving them a chance, because the band I'm talking about is Easy Action. And having seen the cover and sort of heard a little bit, I just sort of thought probably not my thing, really. Might be a little bit too bubblegum, but I actually really like this. Now, yes, they possibly, you could say, they're Sweden's answer to Poison, except the thing is they came out well before Poison. This is 1983, and they've really got the glam look down, pretty early on for 1983. Now, granted, this is a 1984 reissue, so, but here's the still 84. It's very early days for hair metal, and there's the look of the guys at the back. Now, there's some well-known names in here. You've got Zinny Zan, who goes on to be the vocalist for Shotgun Messiah. And you got Key Marcello, who's probably the most well-known, who goes on, of course, to be the guitarist in Europe later on, taking over from John Nurm. So, and of course, he's gone on to do other things as well. But this is good. I actually have really enjoyed this. I mean, it is what it is. It is exactly what I thought it would be, but I think they do it really well. It's not super well produced, but I think that's part of its charm. Songs like Rocket Ride and Mental Dance have some nice riffs too. Then it's a bit heavier than you might have thought. Now, We Go Rocking is actually a song that, interestingly enough, talking of Poison, supposedly, or at least it sounds like they might have, because they settled there was a court case about Poison ripping off We Go Rocking and putting it in their song I Want Action, and they do sound similar. And yeah, there was a settlement that happened. I think it was in the 2000s, so it took a while for it to actually happen. But yeah, there was a settlement, and it's interesting too. The song that Poison did was I Want Action. The band's called Easy Action, and they're potentially would sound as though they're ripping off We Go Rocking. Anyway, which is not one of my favorite songs on the album, but again, it sounds a little bit like Poison, because Poison take that song and put it on their first album pretty much. And I'm not a massive Poison fan, especially the first album, but yeah, this is good. It's got Number One. That's a good song. There's a couple of songs I think that aren't on the vinyl version of the album as well, but yeah, really good. I've enjoyed this album, and like I said, kind of newish to me, but yeah, it's pretty good. Now, they do a second album as well, but they have Zinny Zan's gone, and they've got Tommy Nilsson comes in on vocals, and I haven't got a physical of that, but I have heard it, and I don't like it. I don't like it anywhere near as much. It's a bit too much pop rock. Now, Tommy's coming up. Tommy will be coming up. Tommy Nilsson. He features a lot in this book, various bands. He's more of a pop guy, but sometimes he goes off and does the more sort of AOR, melodic rock kind of stuff. And when he does that, some of it's quite good. But yeah, so he's actually the vocalist for Easy Action's second album. But yeah, like I say, I don't have that. But yeah, if you like Poison, if you like that glam metal sound, you should check out Swedish band Easy Action. All right, now this might surprise some people. It kind of surprises me, really. I don't really know how this happened, but sometimes this happens. Electric Boys. I don't actually have a physical copy on vinyl of their first 2 albums, which you can get. And there's lots more albums as well. But I will show what I do have, which is a 12-inch of All Lips and Hips, and that's all I've got. But yeah. But I do like them. I just, I guess you can't have everything, and that's all I've got at this point. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not a massive fan. If I really was, I would have probably got the, Electric Carpet Ride, whatever it's called. But I do like All Lips and Hips. That's a great song, produced by Barbara. Really good stuff. And like I say, there's lots. They put out quite a bit. I never managed to stick around a bit throughout the mid to early 90s on a major label still, I think, as well. At least that third album, I think, was major label still. But yeah, and I don't know. Maybe they just did disappear for a little while, and then made a comeback recently. Fairly recently, they've putting out some albums as well. But yeah, I haven't really sort of caught up on their recent stuff. I've still got to get their first couple of albums. If I do find them, I will pick them up. But yeah, I've heard them and I have had them in the past. So yeah, Electric Boys, had to mention them when you're doing a Swedish hard rock and heavy metal show. You got to mention Electric Boys. So there we go. All right, next one is a female artist. This is Erica and Cold Winter Night. This is, I think, her debut solo album. Now, she's probably most well known for at one time being married to Yngwie Malmstein, and he does actually feature on the song Emergency on this album. But my favorite song on here is Together We're Lost. I think that's a really good song. Some of it's a bit too soft, a bit light for me, but I do like Together We're Lost. And I even have her second album, which again is not very heavy, barely hard rock, but there are some good songs on it, especially the song I like this is the second one, In the Arms of a Stranger. And the song I like is Wake Me Up When the House is on Fire, which is written by Jack Ponty's song. That's really good. I think she's still with Yngwie at this point, but they do separate not that long, I think, after this album. It was actually interesting too, because obviously Malmstein is coming up, the Swedish guitar player, of course. He is coming up, and I was looking at some of his albums, and Erica, when they were together, has a co-writing credit on some of the songs on his album, which I thought was quite interesting, maybe just lyrically. Oh, another thing too, and I have mentioned her before on my show. She's still putting out albums, like as a solo artist. At least quite recently, she's put out some albums, and they're actually quite good. Quite like them. So still kind of active in the music scene, and yeah, still. I think she went off into the pop area for a while, but she's sort of back doing more sort of hard rock stuff. So yeah, so check her out. All right, so next band, probably the most well-known band I'm going to be talking about on the show today, and it's a Swedish band, Europe. So this is their debut album. I've got all their albums up to the sort of early 90s, where they kind of, they split up or they went on hiatus. So but yeah, the first two albums, of course, probably less commercial, a little bit more metal, early 80s metal kind of sound, especially the first one, Winds of Tomorrow. That's really good as well. But they really do change their sound quite a bit. But it's still good, but definitely more commercial. Definitely more the production, slicker production. But of course, the massive hit, The Final Countdown. Rock the Night I think that's a good song. Yeah, some good songs on here. I do like this album. I like the rockers more than the sort of songs like Carrie don't do a lot for me, but actually most of it is pretty heavy. It's pretty hard rocking, really. It's not like it's an album chock full of ballads. Cherokee, that's really good. Yeah, so no, it's good. It's good, but it's not my favorite Europe album. And I thought the follow-up, this is when Key Marcello comes in and John Nurm leaves. Supposedly he didn't like the fact that they were, they weren't heavy enough for him, supposedly. I'm not sure. That seems unusual when you're in a successful band to leave for that reason, but perhaps. And, I don't think they changed their sound all that much on this album. It's fairly similar to the previous album. Of course, the first single was Superstitious, which I think is really good song. But yeah, there's not so much on here though that's for me that I find really good. It's okay, but I actually do prefer The Final Countdown. But yeah, and of course, this one really should have been massive for them right after The Final Countdown, that next album, to really take them to the next level. But it kind of didn't really do that for them. They didn't really have a big hit on here. Interesting, it's got Open Your Heart on here, which had been on a previous album. I think it had been on Winds of Tomorrow. But it is a good song. I guess they thought we'll try and again now do what like Whitesnake did. But it didn't really work for them. Yeah, and I don't know, not having John in the band anymore, what impact that had. Interestingly, though, my favorite album is actually the one that they did with Beau Hill, and it's Prisoners in Paradise. I just love this album from start to finish. I think it's really good. Even the ballad "I'll Cry for You," I think is a good song. But All or Nothing's really great. Prisoners in Paradise, the title track. There's a music video for that. Epic music video. Great. It's an epic song. I think it's fantastic. Yeah, they also had to go off and write some more songs because the first time they took it to the record company, they weren't. They were like, no, no, don't. We're not hearing hits here. Let's go write some more songs. So they could have actually put out a double album. There's a whole lot of demos out online from these sort of sessions that you can hear. But yeah, the finished product I think is great. This is a great album. And but it's 1991 as the story goes, often goes. Not really great time. I think the problem was that they sort of they lost a lot of ground with this album. Although obviously it probably went platinum, did okay. But when you're following up a massive album like the Final Countdown, and then only sort of you're going backwards, not going forwards, and then this comes out, and I remember when it came out, it didn't get a lot of attention at all. Probably, from what I can remember, the reviews weren't great. I think that was just the way it was with bands like this at around that time. They weren't the in band, they weren't the in sound. So a lot of reviewers were just like, nah, no, it's don't like it, or it's not cool. It's not cool. Yeah. So, but I think people now I think can respect the fact this actually is a good album. So it's a bit of a shame. They put out a greatest hits, I think, a year or two later, and one of the songs that was an unreleased song that was on the greatest hits compilation is a song called "Sweet Love Child," and I have that as a 7-inch single, and it is a great song. I love that song. One of my favorite Europe songs. It's not on an album, but it is a really good song. So there we go. Europe. Got to talk about Europe. So yeah. Right, just before I carry on, I just wanted to mention this CD. So this CD that came with the book, it actually features a number of unreleased songs from a number of really cool bands. And one of them is actually Europe. So it's got a song here, "Rainbow Warrior," by the band Europe, that did not make the Prisoners in Paradise album. So like I said, they recorded a lot of songs that didn't make the album, and one of them is "Rainbow Warrior." And supposedly it's like the record company thought it was just too heavy to be on the album. It's quite long too. It's like over 6 minutes long, but yes, it didn't make the album, but it was recorded around in 1989, but yeah, it didn't make the album. So that's one of the unreleased songs, but there's a whole number of great unreleased songs on this CD. Right, next band is a little bit of an obscure one, but interestingly enough, this album came out in 1992, but I have a vinyl copy of it. So the band is Fortune, and the album is called "Making Gold." And there's the guys at the back there. I'm not a massive fan of the album, but I do really like the opening song, "Eyes of Ice." That's why I got the album. When I heard that song, I thought, I'm going to check this out. Came out on Dino Music, who are kind of known, at least the way I know them, Dino Music, for putting out a whole lot of compilations. But yeah, "Eyes of Ice," that's a good song worth checking out. The band is Fortune. Now, I think they released, this is, I think, their debut album, but they then go on through the 90s. It's 1992 when this comes out. They go on through the 90s and release a few more albums, I think. I haven't heard them, but yeah. So 1992, not easy to get an album on vinyl, or even that they even bothered to have it put out on vinyl. So that's pretty cool. Of course, don't confuse this band, the Swedish band Fortune, with another band that I have in my collection. This band, great album, Fortune. That just came out in 1985. I'm pretty sure. And produced by Kevin Beamish. So don't get confused. It's a different band. The next one is a band that have only officially really put out the one EP, but it's one of my favorite EPs of all time, and it's Geisha and Phantasmagoria. And just 6 songs on this, but they are all just great, fantastic hard rock, heavy metal, released on Heavy Metal Records in 1987. This band actually initially had Mickey D in it, who I think had come from King Diamond, and then he goes back to King Diamond, I think. And there's some King Diamond connections here as well, I think, with this band. But Geisha, and just the 6 songs. for this EP. Now they did actually, I think, record more songs, and that has since been released only on CD, like a whole album's worth of songs. But this is where it's at, the 6-track EP. Really good stuff. Next one is a band called Glory and Danger in the Game. Pretty good hard rock, melodic rock, not too heavy, Bon Jovi kind of sound. Yeah, it's well produced. I've actually got this is actually a Russian copy. I don't know how I got this, but yeah. And they do have another album as well that you can get on vinyl. Forgive is to forget. But I don't have that one. But you can get it on vinyl. That came out in 91. I think this one came out in 1989, I think, pretty sure. Yeah, Danger in the Game. It's okay. It is what you might think it is, and it sounds like you might think it sounds. And I don't mind it. I'd probably prefer a better copy of it. Russian copies are not the best. They don't sound that great. This one doesn't sound that great. But it is what it is, and it's in the book, and I have it, so I'm talking about it. The Jet Circus, and it's only a 7-inch, but yeah, Victory Dance. So they did put out an album. I don't have the album, and I don't know if it talks about the album on this. No, it doesn't really, but I have seen the music video for Victory Dance, and it's kind of like, it's a little bit like rap hair metal, and I have done a show on rap hair metal. And yeah, I wouldn't say I'd highly recommend this, but it's just kind of interesting. It says, yes, better buy this record up here. I don't know why it says that, but yeah, and of course it is. You can get the album, and it is available on vinyl, but this is enough for me. All right, next one. Actually, this is good stuff. This is Madison and Best in Show. So if you like those, 80s hair metal sounds, this is actually still pretty heavy as well. So hair metal, but with a good emphasis on the metal aspect of it. So here they are at the back. This is their second album. I don't have their first album. This is Best in Show. So this band probably most well known for having Goran Edman on vocals. So he ends up leaving the band to go and join Yngwie Malmstein. So yeah, and the band, this is actually the end of the band pretty much as far as I think albums that they put out. Maybe they put out some 7-inch singles after this. I know that Pete Sandberg, who ends up who is on the Alien album, he actually ends up taking over from Goran in this band. But yeah, like I say, that I don't think they put out an album, but he was in the band for a while. And yeah, this was really good stuff. So worth checking out. I've heard people, on various YouTube channels talk about this band in a pretty positive way. And this album, Best in Show, yes, came out in 1986, I think. And yeah, it's worth checking out. All right, next one really needs no introduction, but I will give him one because otherwise he might get angry with me. Yngwie Malmstein, and this is the second album, Marching Out, I think. So yeah, this has got now what's interesting, of course, is almost every album there's a different vocalist. So this one, it's Jeff Scott Soto, and then I won't talk about this too much because already this video is going quite long. Malmstein could be his own show, really, couldn't he? Then he gets Mark Bowles in for this one, Trilogy. Then he gets Jolyn Turner from Rainbow, Odyssey. Good album, especially Heaven Tonight. I love that song. Great song. Crazy music video, but good song. There's a live album, Trial by Fire. It's got Jolyn Turner on the vocals. And then a guy I was just talking about, Goran Edman, he comes in to be the vocalist on Eclipse. Making Love, that's a good song. I always find with, for me, for Malmstein and his albums, there's some good songs on there, but then there's just a lot of stuff I'm not that fussed about. But they're always, usually, especially on these albums I'm showing you, at least one or two really great songs. And yeah, Bedroom Eyes is okay, but Making Love, that's my go-to song for this album. And on this one, it would be Teaser. This is Fire and Ice, and the song Teaser. Gordon actually sticks around. He's still the vocalist for this album. And yeah, Malmstein's actually producing this. And I think this might have been one of his last albums for Elektra. But actually, even though I'm not the biggest fan, I do actually have on vinyl his collection as well. It's not an easy one to get on vinyl, I don't think, but it's quite nice to have a bit of a compilation of his songs because, like I say, especially the well-known ones or the some of the better ones, and this does tend to have that. So yeah, because it's got it's got Liar, which is a great song. Queen of Love, actually, that's a really good one, and Making Love, extended guitar solo. As if I needed that, but anyway, Judas, that's a good song. So there's some really good ones on here. So it's nice to have that one. But yeah, of course, talking about Swedish hard rock, heavy metal, you got to have Malmstein in there. So there we go. All right, next one is Nasty Idols, and the album I'm showing is Cruel Intention, and that is their second album, came out in 1991. They also have, well, at least the book says they have two other albums. So their first album, Gigolos on Patrol, which is a classic name for an album, and Gigolos on Parole. And their third album is Vicious. And actually, you can get Vicious, which is 1993. You can get that on vinyl as well. But yeah, like I say, it's the only one I've got. This is the band in the back. Kind of got, that sort of street sleaze metal kind of look that was kind of popular at the time, that sort of Skid Row kind of look. And actually that sound as well. Not too glam, but sort of tough looking, but yeah, definitely fitting in with the hair metal sound and look of the time. Of course, 1991, it's starting to fade a little bit, but yeah, this is pretty good. Like I say, the only one of theirs I've got, but I do like it. Some good songs on here, but the music is exactly like you might expect when you look at the image of the band. Next one's an interesting one because it is the band Nesta. Now, what's interesting is, of course, when they're mentioned in the book, all that's mentioned is their 4-track CD that came out in 1993. It was a private press by the looks of it, not on a major label. And all it said is a good, solid hard rock band with a melodic AOR-ish touch, worth checking out. So, of course, what ends up happening, Nesta are completely silent for the next, 30 years? And yeah, and then this, almost 30 years. And then this comes out in 2022. And they've done another album since then. And it's so good. It's like one of my favorite albums of the year when this came out. And yeah, just such a bizarre situation that, it took them really all this time. Obviously, I guess they separated and split up for a long period of time, but all that time, and they're mentioned in the book. They're mentioned in this book just with just one line, but they are mentioned. They're in there, so it's legit. They really were a band back in the early '90s, but yeah, of course, much bigger band now. On Napalm Records, have put out 2 albums, both really good. I've actually haven't got the second one yet, but yeah, Kids in a Ghost Town, really good stuff. I remember when I heard On the Run, there was a great music video for that as well. I was thinking, who are these guys? It did literally sound like some lost music video from 1989. And yeah, great stuff. So, but it's quite really funny seeing them in this book, the book that came out in 1996, talking about them. And but yeah, they really hadn't, of course, done much at that point. My next person I want to talk about is Tommy Nilsson. Hopefully that's how you say it, Tommy Nilsson. He is kind of like Sweden's Michael Bolton. That's not in the book. That's just me saying that. I could be wrong. But he's interesting because he's done some sort of hair metal, hard rock, AOR type stuff. He's also done lots of real sort of poppy stuff. And he's kind of got, his look is very like, he could be hard rock, he could be hair metal. His look is at least through the 80s, he had that look, but he didn't necessarily always sound that way. And he's been in various bands. Like I said, he was in Easy Action. He was the vocalist on Easy Action's second album, which I'm not a particularly big fan of. I like the first one, but I do have this because this song here, Dark Angel, wow, it is really good AOR. So yeah, check it out. Like I say, some of the stuff is, and it's even talked about like this in the book, that some of the stuff is just pop. It's not wouldn't appeal to anyone who likes hard rock. But if you like AOR or hard rock, you will find some good stuff from him. And Dark Angel is definitely worth checking out. So listen to that song. Check that one out. But yeah, otherwise I'm not too sure if he's got too much else. But he's also fronted other bands as well. So he's come up in this book quite a bit. So yeah, there we go. Tommy Nilsson, Dark Angel. Next one is John Nurm and Total Control, his debut solo album. So for whatever reason, musical differences is what I understand. He leaves the band Europe and becomes a solo artist. And this is a pretty good album. He is, of course, was the guitar player in Europe. Of course, he's back in Europe now, but he was the guitar player. But he also does vocals on this album. But he also has a guy I've already talked about quite a bit on this show, Goran Edman. He's lead vocals on Love Is Meant to Last Forever and Back on the Streets. Marcel Jacob is on bass. He's going to turn up when I talk about the band Talisman. But yeah, it's pretty good. The next album, Face the Heat, I think it's called. I don't have that one, but I do have the 7-inch single We Will Be Strong, which interestingly enough is a duet with Joey Tempest, and it's a great song. Did I say Face the Heat? Face the Truth. Anyway, is the name of the album. Yeah, really good. And I like that album. I haven't got the album on vinyl, but I do like the album, and I really like this song. Really good. Interesting that he's doing a duet with Joey Tempest. I don't think there was any hard feelings. Maybe there was at the time, but anyway, he's back in the band and everything now. But he did have quite a good little solo career throughout the 90s as well. I think in 95, Another Destination came out. That was also a pretty good album. He didn't go grunge or anything like that. He kept to pretty much being, a hard rock artist and some put out some good albums. Because, like I say, he's back in Europe now. But yeah, the only album of his that I've actually got is this one, Total Control, and it's a good one. Now, just while I'm talking about John Nurm, I will also talk about his sister. I think it's his sister. I'm pretty sure it is. Tone Nurm. And this time, yes, I actually have this. You might be thinking to yourself, why? Well, it wasn't expensive. And there is a song on here, If You Ever Fall, which is really good. Now, it's just, AOR, melodic rock. Nothing else on this album appeals to me particularly. It's very much pop. And I think she's got a few albums, But yeah, it's the only one of hers I've got. And I only got it for that one song, really, If You Ever Fall, Jack Ponty song, also Mark Mangold song as well. So they both co-wrote that song. It's a really good song. Mark Mangold from Touch, of course. But yeah, there we go. While I'm talking about John, I might as well talk about Tone as well. She's in the book. She is in the book. So there we go. Next one. This is fairly obscure. This is Rat Bat Blue. Really unusual name for a band. I think it's self-titled. Now, again, a little bit one of those situations where the album as a whole isn't that great, at least for me, as far as I'm concerned. But there is some good stuff on here, and there's two songs in particular, and they are Gypsy Heart, and I think there's actually a music video for that. That is really good. And the other song is White Line. That's also a really good song. So yeah, White Line, Gypsy Heart. Check those two songs out. They're really good. And yeah, I think just a one and done band. Rat Bat Blue, AOR hard rock, not very heavy, but the two songs I do really like on this album are really worth checking out. Are very good. So Rat Bat Blue, and yeah, check out the songs White Line and Gypsy Heart. Next band I'm going to talk about is a band called Red Baron, and all I've got is a 7-inch single. This might be all they actually put out, but Rock and Roll Power is the name of the song, and it's kind of like Swedish AC/DC. Really good. It's not great, but it's good. And yeah, I don't know how I picked this up, but it's pretty obscure, but it's in the book. And yeah, I do quite like it. But yeah, shame there's no album. Red Baron and Rock and Roll Power. And there's a B-side as well, actually. I probably should mention that. So, which I don't know the name of it, so I'm going to have to get the record out. So Rock and Roll Power and the other song on the other side is called Fool's Gold. All right, next band is Reptile Smile, and Who Makes the Rules? So I guess influenced by Aerosmith, Guns N' Roses, maybe a bit of AC/DC. This is actually their second album, released on a major label on Epic in 1991. In 1990, they put out Automatic Cool, but and I think they only put out the two albums, but both on major labels. Like I said, if you like that Aerosmith, AC/DC kind of influence band, sleazy Guns N' Roses kind of sound, then yeah, you might like these guys. I think it's okay. It's good. I've only got the one album though. I've only got their second album. Don't have their first one. And to be honest with you, I can't really tell you what my go-to songs are. I know there's two or three songs on here I do think are quite good, but yeah, it's very generic and very much the kind of sound that was popular at the time, although was about to become less popular, especially around this period of time, 91. So, but yeah, Reptile Smile, Who Makes the Rules? And interesting, this is a Swedish band, but they've totally got that LA metal, hair metal sound down. But yeah, anyway, very obscure, I'd say. So check them out, Reptile Smile. And this is their second album, Who Makes the Rules? All right, next one is a band called Shaboom. Now, Dan from Off the Charts recently watched a music video from these guys, and I think it was ROCK, and that's the title track from this, I think their second album. Now, it's very pop metal. It's not that great. I will say that. I will say it's not that great. Now, they do have a song on here, though, called X-Ray Specs. It's written by a guy called Ole Evenrud, who was a solo artist. I think he's from Norway. He was doing similar type of music, pop metal, hard rock kind of stuff in the 80s. Pretty good, actually. That album, he put out one album that I would love to get on vinyl, but I haven't been able to get it because it's not easy to get and not cheap. But yeah, he co-wrote the song X-Ray Specs. That's very good. Also the song Werewolf. I think he did that one as well. That's also very good. But yeah, so this album has a couple of songs I don't mind. But again, they're not songs that they wrote. It's kind of hard to pick from looking at the cover. If they a boy band or a hard rock band, well, they're kind of a bit of a mixture, really. They've kind of got a bit more of a hard rock look here, but I wouldn't say it's hair metal, really. It's pop rock, pop metal. But they've certainly got the look, though, some of them especially. And actually, I'm not that big a fan, to be honest with you, but you'd think I am, because I've also got the lead vocalist. He put out a solo album. It's called Dag Finn Presents the Wonderful World of Dag, or D Finn. So he's the vocalist. But there is, I think it's called What Goes Around Will Come Around. That's a good song. That's really good. I like that song. It could be another Ole Evenrud song, actually. I have a feeling it is. But or maybe, I don't know. I can't read the credits. Maybe it isn't, actually. But either way, that's a good song. But again, it's one of those things where there's a couple of good songs, but that's about it. Yeah, like I say, I can't. There's nothing about this album. Nothing in particular stands out as being particularly good. Fox on the Run must be a cover of the Sweet song, which is interesting because the Sweet cover one of their songs. So this is Andy Scott's Sweet, of course, but Andy Scott Sweet, and he does X-Ray Specs, which is the song they did. Of course, it's not really their song. It's Ole Evenrud wrote it, but yeah. So don't get confused. Yeah, if you want what version you might happen to want, I don't know. I think X-Ray Specs has been done by a few people, actually. It is a good song. But yeah, Andy Scott Sweet did a version of the song that Shaboom did, and Shaboom did a version of the Sweet song, Fox on the Run. So, yeah, interesting. So there we go. And I thought I'll combine Dag with the Shaboom because they're related, of course. And yeah, if you're interested in watching Dan watch Shaboom and their ROCK music video, go check out his channel because I'm not sure if he enjoyed it or not, but he was laughing. All right, next up, one of my favorite bands, and I'm talking about Shotgun Messiah. So Initially, these guys actually were known as Kingpin, and I think put this album out as Kingpin, and then they get a bit of a US deal and changed their name to Shotgun Messiah, which I got to say I think is a very cool name for a band. And yeah, released this album, and here are the guys. So you got Tim, who I think is now known as just Scold. Sticks on drums. You got Harry Cody on guitar. He's a great guitarist. And Zinny San, which is interesting because he was called Zinny Zan on the Easy Action album. So he's just changed his name slightly. Not quite sure why. But yeah, some good songs on here. I've talked about this album, I'm sure, before, but Don't Care About Nothing. That's a great one. And like I said, I think Harry Cody's a great guitar player, and I'm not a big fan of instrumentals, but check out The Explorer. It's amazing. Shout It Out, very good. Again, great guitar work. I think Zinny's vocals are good, but on the second album, Second Coming, he's gone, and Tim Skold's taking over on vocals. But actually, I think he does a great job as well. And this is a great album. Probably it is better. It's a better album, I think. Songs like Heartbreak Boulevard. Again, I've talked about this album before, so I won't go into too much detail. It's a great album. It's very good. And even the next album, Violent New Breed, where they go sort of add some industrial elements to it, I think that's an awesome album. That might even be better than Second Coming. I think it's really good. I love that album. And then that's the end of the band, but a great band. And of course, Tim Skold has gone on to do solo albums, which are also good. Did an album with Marilyn Manson as well. So, yeah, Shotgun Messiah, 3 great albums. Go check them out. All right, next band I'm going to talk about is the unusually named Swedish Erotica. Yeah, so yes, they are Swedish, and I'm pretty sure this is their debut album, and it's actually got a gatefold. Yeah. They have done other albums after this, but this is the only one I've got. Rock and Roll City, Love on the Line. That's not too bad. I got to be honest with you, it's not an album I play a lot, but I do, even though I don't play it a lot, I do have a 7-inch single for We're Wild, Young, and Free. And what's interesting about it is, and I have talked about this before, it has loaded rap on it. So again, there's some hair metal rap. They basically take their song Loaded, which is on this album, and add some rap to it. If you don't think that sounds very good, you would be correct. It's not. But yeah, I don't know. It's again, they're really influenced by the hair metal scene, the LA scene, and it is exactly like what you'd expect it to be. And I don't mind it, but I like this kind of stuff. So if I'm only sort of like finding it okay, then if you're not a big fan of this type of music, then probably this is not an essential album for you to own. Right, next band I want to talk about is a Swedish band, but it does have an American as the lead vocalist, and that's Talisman. And all I've got actually on vinyl is this 7-inch single called I'll Be Waiting. But it's basically known as Marcel Jacobs' band. He's the bass guitarist, and of course, he was from Yngwie Malmstein. And yeah, so this is all I've got. You can get their albums on vinyl, but I'm not sure if initially they did come out on vinyl, but they've been reissued. But I do have because I'm not that familiar with them, but I do like this album. This is Talisman and the Life album. They do a great cover of the song Crazy, this song that Seal did, but their version I think is fantastic. But there's other really good songs on here. I remember picking this up back in the day on CD and thinking it was a nice surprise because it's a 1995 release, and it was a sound that wasn't popular really, but they just stuck to their sort of guns and were doing that sort of hard rock sound. Of course, Jeff Scott Soto was amazing in the sort of mid and early 90s, because even though he's singing music that isn't that popular, and maybe that's why he was so prolific, and because he wanted to keep doing that sort of stuff, but Yeah, and still was able to, he's such a great vocalist, but he's been in so many bands, and yeah, he was still pretty busy in the 90s. And yeah, he's a great vocalist. I love the album he did, or albums that he did with Axel Rudy Pell. But yeah, like I say, he was so busy. It's hard to believe he had Talisman, Axel Rudy Pell, all these other bands on the go at the same time. But yeah, like I say, I'm not super familiar with Talisman, but what I have heard, I do like, and yeah, this album in particular, I do have in my collection, and I do recommend it. All right, this band's a bit of an obscure one. This is Talk of the Town, self-titled. If you like Bon Jovi, that sort of sound, early Bon Jovi, then you will probably quite like this. AOR, melodic hard rock. They've got a keyboard player, but they've got some good crunchy guitars in there, good vocals. It's well produced. Sounds really good. I was actually listening to this today because I was thinking I'm going to talk about it, but I'm not actually that familiar with it. But I really enjoyed it. The opening song, Free Like an Eagle, Fever, and the song I Love the Look in Your Eyes is actually really good. It's not a ballad, and it's good hard rock. So yeah, especially the first side I found really good. I think they split up after this album, but then then since in the late 90s, early 2000s, I don't think it's even in the book. Well, it wouldn't be, would it? Because the book came out in 96. But I have a feeling, because I looked on Discogs, there's some albums that have come out in the late 90s or 2000s. So they've kind of reformed. But I don't know. I don't know what. Actually, I did have a little listen online. I don't know. But this is good and worth getting on vinyl if you can track it down. So yeah, Talk of the Town. If you like that melodic hard rock sort of stuff, as I was describing it, yeah, you will probably like this. So check it out. Talk of the Town. All right, next one is Tommy Tusper and the Kids, Young and Rockin' Crazy. So Tommy, I think, is about 13 or 14 when he records this. That's what it says in the book. Actually, it also says that his age kind of corresponds with the quality. I don't know about that, because actually I think this is all right. This is sort of, your typical sort of late 80s hard rock, although it's actually come out in 1990. But yeah, some good songs on here. Young and Rockin' Crazy. The title track's pretty good. House on Fire, Rock the House Down. Very generic song titles. But yeah, I mean, if he was 13 or 14 at the time when he did this, that kind of makes sense. I don't know what happened with Tommy. I have a feeling he's like he goes on and actually become quite a well-known songwriter or producer or something, but I'm not too sure. But yeah, this actually I think is pretty good. So worth checking out anyway. Have a listen. Tommy Tusper and the Kids, if you can find it online. I'm sure it's on there somewhere. Young and Rockin' Crazy. Our next one might be a band some people are familiar with. This is Trash and Burning Rock. And this actually came out on a major label on Atlantic in 1985, and it's produced by Max Norman. So, some big names, big label, big name producer. It's their second album. I think the first album came out in 83. It might have been called Watch Out, I think. I don't have that. I've seen it from time to time, but never bothered to pick it up. I Rock Me, Rock You. I think I like that one. Yeah, this is not for me. And it's Max Norman. Has a pretty good record for literally like good records. He has a good record for making good records. Yeah, so it's okay, I guess. But yeah, nothing really stands out. Supposedly they recorded a third album with Eddie Kramer, but it never got released. So, but that's what it says in the book. But yeah, anyway, Trash and Burning Rock. This is the only one I've got of theirs, their second album. But there we go. All right, next band I've talked about a bit on my channel, and I'm a bit of a fan. And the band is Treat. Now, this is Too Wild, which is a 12-inch single. But yeah, I wanted to pick this up because it's got a song that's not on the debut album called On the Outside, at least not on the vinyl copy of the album. And it's a good song. So I've got that, and then of course this is the great debut album, Scratch and Bite. They've done as I've pointed out on my channel before, the picture's upside down. I'm pretty sure that would not be the way it was supposed to be, but I don't know. Anyway, Scratch and Bite, really good. And for me, this is their best album. And like I said, the drummer goes on to, I think that might be him there. He goes on to the band Dalton. Meanwhile, The Pleasure Principle. I mean, I've got all their 80s albums, and they were pretty busy in the 80s. And Dream Hunter. I did a video reaction too to one of their videos. It was a pretty good video, I thought. I'm not sure Mrs. Rock and Metal Invasion enjoyed it. She was watching it with me, but anyway, I enjoyed it. Treat Organized Crime. So how many is that? It's like 4 albums there. So they were quite busy throughout the 80s and they carried on into the. There's an album that came out in 1992 as well. I think it's just called self-titled. It's just self-titled, and that's available on vinyl, but I don't have that one. And then they, of course, like a lot of bands, I guess, go on hiatus or break up in the 90s for a while there, but they're back, and actually the albums they've been putting out in the 2000s have been really good. So yeah, probably a more well-known band than some of the other bands I've been shown, but yeah, Treat, go check them out if you haven't. All right, my final band I'm going to talk about that I've got in my collection that was in the Encyclopedia of Swedish hard rock and heavy metal, and actually this would have been a band if I was sort of putting them in order, this band would have been first because they're a band name that start with a number, and that's how I order. If it starts with a number, that goes first before the letters. But in the book, this band are in the T's, and I'm talking about 220 Volt. So the only album of theirs I've actually got is Eye to Eye, and this I think might be their third album, but it's released on Epic, and it's another Max Norman one. There's some good songs on here, but I got to be honest, it's not an album I play a lot, and I don't have some of their other album. I don't have any of their other albums either. Some people do like them, but they've never really quite clicked with me. Might be one of their more commercial albums, I think, as well. But I've got a 7-inch single, High Heels, which I don't think's on any album. Which is maybe why I got it. And the B-side is Children of the Plains. I'm not sure about that one, but I know that High Heels is not on one of their albums, and that's a good song. But and that's all I've got for 220 Volt. But there's actually, I think there's a fair bit you can get if you want to. But yeah, and there we go. So a bit of an epic show, actually. I was thinking, this wouldn't take long. I'll just show a few records that I've got from from Swedish bands. I haven't got that many, have I? It turns out I've got quite a bit. Oh, there are quite a bit. There are quite a lot of Swedish bands. Bands I didn't even know were Swedish. But there we go. If you enjoyed this, I hope you did. Hit the thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed and you like this type of content, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And I'll catch you later. Okay, see ya.